The chair calls Larry Linenschmidt. Thank you for being here today. We show you registered as Larry Linenschmidt on behalf of yourself and that you are testifying neutrally. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
All right, please proceed. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for this opportunity to speak to you again. I'm Larry Linenschmidt. I'm Executive Director of the Hill Country Institute, a Christian nonprofit, and host of a radio program, Hill Country Institute Live. I work with the Citizens Climate Lobby, the Evangelical Environmental Network, and Republic EN. I'm addressing you today as a theologically conservative Christian and a politically conservative voter. In my previous testimony in April, I asked you to add carbon dioxide and methane to the gases monitored by the state of Texas under TERP. And I questioned, how are we doing on getting those gases into the program? We can answer, maybe you could answer that after my 3 minutes. As a Christian, I want to tell you I appreciate Billy Graham, who said, why should we be concerned about the environment? It isn't just because of the dangers we face from pollution, climate change, or other environmental problems, although these are serious. We are only stewards or trustees of God's creation, and we aren't to abuse it or neglect it. We end up not caring about the problems we're creating for future generations. So I'm very glad to see Jesse here and to talk about the future, because as a baby boomer, I feel like we've got a lot to apologize for. As a political conservative, I join in a long history of conservatives caring for the environment, including Ronald Reagan and the current conservative movement to address climate change, the eco-right. The science of global warming leading to climate change is easily understood by one statistic. The 9 warmest years on record have been the last 9 years. We've experienced an average daily temperature increase of over 2.2 degrees Fahrenheit in Texas since the 1880s. And that last time I was with you, I documented that through the Texas 36 report from the Texas A&M climatologist that Jesse referenced, and I again incorporate that into my testimony. Decarbonization is the future, and it has the potential to be a prosperous future for the state of Texas. George Mitchell made hydraulic fracking work. His foundation and the UT Cockrell School of Engineering have a vision for a carbon-free, flourishing Texas, detailed in Texas can get to net zero by 2050 and simultaneously bolster the economy. I provided the executive summary for you, and the full report's available online. This report indicates co-benefits of decarbonization in Texas include GDP growth, job creation, cutting water use, and avoiding air pollution. And there's a place for the oil and gas industry. ExxonMobil, the largest corporation in Texas, is moving towards decarbonization. Houston is a center of green energy activity now, building on the expertise of fossil fuels for which it is known. Here are 3 quick ideas, and I'll talk some more on it when we get to the federal funds. Some ideas about air quality and addressing climate change. With the money you gave to TxDOT, why don't we have a fully electric fleet of cars? Or not just cars, but their whole vehicle fleet. I've got a review of the new Ford F-150 all-electric vehicle, so you can get a workhorse into TxDOT that's electric. Stop flaring in Texas. Flaring is a major pollutant as well as climate change problem. Fix the methane leaks, which pollute and contribute to global warming. I urge you to go beyond adding carbon dioxide and methane to the gases monitored pursuant to TERP. Please act so our great state can be a leader in practical, conservative solutions for clean air and climate change mitigation and adaptation so Texans can flourish. Thank you.
Larry, thank you for your testimony. Before I open it up to questions from the members, I'll answer your question.
Thank you.
And just for the benefit of anybody who may be listening, so we're not in the policy-making phase right now. We're doing our homework in advance of the upcoming legislative session, which will begin in January. But we are here right now pursuant to a charge that the Speaker of the House has issued to us to study these issues. And so we appreciated your testimony at the hearing last month, but we're still just in the information gathering phase.
Sure.
Of course, any policy changes that you want to see made can happen when the bill filing period begins in November, so not too far down the line, but that's why you haven't seen any changes or any movement.
Well, we're really fortunate to have A&M's capabilities to do that, and with the monitoring stations in place, it's a minimal cost to add those.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that. Members, any questions? Representative Reynolds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your testimony today, and it's very interesting hearing your perspective as a conservative, given your views. I will tell you that very candidly that I do too believe that the state of Texas should really look at the impact that climate change has on our changing environment. Obviously, we've seen Hurricane Harvey. We've seen so many changing weather patterns, Winter Storm Uri, many things that we aren't looking at the science of it. We're trying to find fixes so that we don't have another Winter Storm Uri. But I can tell you from being on this committee and also being on Energy Resources that the state of Texas isn't looking at the impact of climate change. That is a fact. And I hope that we will, that's not the issue today, but since you bring it up, I do hope that we'll get serious about it and not politicize it so that we can look at it and look at best practices so that we can address it. So I thank you for bringing it up today. I know that global warming is real. I know that other people in the energy sector are looking at climate change. The federal government is looking at it under the EPA, but unfortunately, in the state of Texas, we haven't done it yet.
Yes, sir. I know. I'm disappointed that Texas doesn't have a climate action plan. Other states do. The cities of Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, and Houston have climate action plans, and I'm pleased to see that. But, if you're a rancher in West Texas, your vegetation is going to be more limited because of the drought that's going on. Wildfire risk, Texas is now number 2 behind California. Hate for Texas to be number 2 in anything behind California, except maybe that's good, except our wildfire risk is increasing, and it will be moving further east. It's heavy in the west. It's moving further east because of that vegetation decreasing. Sea level rise impacts Galveston. Hurricane Harvey, according to attribution science, was 10% stronger than it would have been. But even worse than that, the wind patterns have changed because of climate change, and it just hung around. It wouldn't go away. It's like the guests that came in and you couldn't get them out. 60 inches of rain in Nederland is a national record. So that is something we're number 1 in.
Well, I'll tell you this, not to take up too much of the committee's time, I filed the legislation in the last 3 sessions, and God willing, it says the same. I'll file it again next session, and I hope that you'll come down and support it, and hopefully we can move that forward, just for a study,
yes,
so that we can make some progress. So again, I thank you for your support. We're going to need bipartisan support if we're going to advance that issue.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Representative. Appreciate it.
I want to show, let the record show that Representative Morales-Shaw, who was joining us virtually, is now here in person. Members, are there any other questions? All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sir.
Members of the committee.